don't know. Not sure.
Christian.
You're going, yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Etobicoke Lakeshore. My name is James Maloney. I have the dual honor of being the Member of Parliament for this great riding, but also being your Master of Ceremonies today for this, what is going to be a truly spectacular announcement, not just for my community locally, but for our country generally. And you'll understand why I say that in just a few moments. I'm here with Minister Evan Solomon, who I will have a few words to say about in a moment. I'm also here celebrating Xanadu, who is coming to Etobicoke Lakeshore. I want to acknowledge that we gather today on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples. To say I'm excited about this announcement today is a severe understatement. Prime Minister Carney, we've all heard him say repeatedly that Canadians can do more, we can do more for ourselves than others can do for us. Today is a shining example of those words coming to meaning. I'm going to talk a little bit about Xanadu. When you hear that phrase, I'm always, and Minister Solomon will tell you, I'm constantly bragging about the greatest riding in the country, which everybody knows is Etobicoke Lakeshore, where we are today. When you think of the word Xanadu, different things might come to mind. If you're a Rush fan, you might think of a song on one of their early albums. You might think of Olivia Newton-John and Electric Light Orchestra from the movie in the 80s. You might even think of the Beatles. Truth is, the origin of the word comes from and I looked this up, don't mistake me for somebody who might have known this. It comes from a poem written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge in 1816. And it pictures Xanadu as a dreamlike paradise with a stately pleasure dome, winding rivers, and bright green gardens. Utopia, paradise, which that's when I figured out why Xanadu decided to move to Etobicoke Lakeshore. It all came together for me in that moment. So thank you. As the Prime Minister talked about, we have to invest in ourselves. Here in Etobicoke Lakeshore, we have over 6,000 small, medium-sized, and larger businesses. We've been a work-live community. Where we're standing today was the home of Campbell's Soup for generations, and there's people in this neighborhood still who worked in that facility. I've talked to people in this neighborhood who've worked there. Their grandparents worked here. Today's announcement is going to reassure people in this community that that continues to be the model for Etobicoke Lakeshore, and I'm really, really excited about that. But we're doing it in a way with modern technology, innovation, you know, this spirit of ingenuity which Xanadu represents. And here with me today, of course, is my colleague and friend, Minister Evan Solomon, who's our Minister for, amongst other things, Artificial Intelligence. Minister Solomon was first elected just a year and a half ago, although I've known him for much longer than that. Everybody knows who Evan Solomon is. He really needs no introduction. I first met him, ironically, here in Etobicoke Lakeshore when he was where you are, and before I was where I am now in politics, but it was through a political connection. But in the last 15 to 18 months, I've had the honor of working alongside of this man, and he brings so much to the table. He brings so much to this government, and I'm incredibly proud to work with him, and I'm incredibly proud that you've chosen to come here today, Minister, and join us to make this announcement. So welcome to Xanadu.
Thanks, pal. All right, thank you. That's the first time I've ever heard James talk and not say Etobicoke and Ireland, his two favorite things in the world. First of all, it's great to be here. And before I talk about James and Christian and Xanadu, holy shit, this is unbelievable. Okay, this facility is remarkable. And I want to just get the story about this, because when a company comes in called Xanadu, it's not a big company like Campbell's, multinational, huge brand. It's a company that started here, Canadian company, Canadian innovation, starts small, takes risks, tries to solve a problem, and they grow from little offices to little bigger. I've been to their office on College and Bay, and now to be in a facility that's what, Christian, 180,000 or 150,000, 160,000 square feet, a facility that will soon be filled with the most advanced technology in the world in quantum here. This is a remarkable place. So remember this moment, because some of the best innovation in the world is going to come out of this spot. So this is a remarkable moment. And it's happening in Etobicoke, and one of the reasons is this is a great place. You know, we are all here on the great shores of Lake Ontario, and James Maloney is not just the leader of our national caucus, but this is a guy that is a leader in our country. He's a leader for those of us who not are just part of the party, because he does what he says. He's a person of conviction. His word is his bond. And that matters, because that's what Canada's all about. And we're in a very unique moment. I'm the Minister of Federal Economic Development. And so I spend a lot of time in Southern Ontario, where the tariff war is being hit hard. And we've got a lot of companies that are in the teeth of it. And we are not bending or breaking, we are building. And we're building in Canada and staying in Canada because Canadian people are like James. Our word is our bond. We build, we stick around, we support our community, we lift each other up, we do not back down from a fight, and we are always ready to go back to the table and in good faith and build together and make a partnership. And we will with anybody. As long as you want to build fair, have a square deal, and get this done for mutual benefit. And James is a great friend and a great leader, and the kind of person, in my view, that you build countries on, that kind of attitude. And that's what we're building on now in this moment. And we are in a moment where Canadians are looking for what the Prime Minister has talked about, maîtres chez nous, masters of our own domain, as James said. And this is literally what it looks like. It looks like a bunch of innovators and scientists who have come to Canada, who have chosen the country like Christian, with a great team, and have said, we are going to not just make a bet on solving the biggest problems in the world and being the best in the world, but look at this space. We are going to do it big, fearlessly. We're going to take big swings, and we're going to build big. And that's what this moment requires, and that's why today is a remarkable moment. And a moment that you hope the whole country says that this is when you take out 160,000 square feet and you go from soup cans and cans to qubits, you're looking at the future and you're telling the country, this is what we see. We see a future. We see ambition. We are building bigger than ever ourselves. And I think this is fantastic. And, you know, this is a moment where we have to look for examples like this for our workforce and for workers that we are going to protect. We got $7.5 billion, so we are going to make sure we're going to protect our workers. We're going to invest. We got $1.5 billion going through our regional development agencies like Federal Economic Development to make sure that companies who have done everything right and who have been just like Xanadu, they've built, they've supported their community, they've got investment, they've got customers, and now they're getting sideswiped by something, we're going to be there for them. And we're going to make sure they get through with supports that will last longer than the current U.S. administration. And if the U.S. administration wants to come back to the table and negotiate, we will always be there to negotiate in good faith. We will not take a bad deal. We'll never take a bad deal. We'll never, ever do anything to hurt our sovereignty, our choices, and our innovators. And that's why today is so important, because Xanadu is proof that you can convert ideas into innovation and companies, that you can take on hard challenges. It proves that you kind of got to be a little nuts to think that you can be the leader in quantum. And James mentioned Rush, who are back on tour, another band from here in Toronto. And I happen to know those guys a little. Like in the 70s when they started, they did their own thing. They didn't compromise. They wanted to play the music that they loved, and they're 60 million records later, 50 years later, they're on tour. Canadian, stuck to their values, stuck to their idea, made it world famous, stuck to their community, stayed at home. Like, this is what we're doing. So yeah, that was a great reference to Rush. I couldn't help but shout out Rush. And now they're getting new partners with a great German drummer. So here we are in the Campbell Soup Factory for nearly 90 years. And there was a time when this factory floor was literally making cans of soup. And the world has changed from that. The original factory is gone. It's been refurbished. And now it's going to be a photonics manufacturing facility to scale the production of quantum compute components, hands to qubits. It's incredible. And that is a Toronto story. That's a story of innovation. That's a Canadian story. And innovation is what we need to do. We have to keep building this country. We have new skilled workers here. And the team at Xanadu are remarkable scientists. And they're turning knowledge and curiosity into this productivity, and they're building this country. Et aujourd'hui, nous passons de la recherche à la production. Nous bâtissons au Canada avec des talents canadiens. Et c'est merveilleux. Alors, that brings us to today's announcement. Normally you say when you make announcements, I'm delighted, I'm pleased, I'm proud to confirm that the government of Canada is investing in a company. But I will tell you, Christian, and over the last 16, 18 months, we've gotten to know each other. I've been with his team at his facility. When we created the Canadian Quantum Champions program in December, Xanadu's part of it, along with some great companies, part of our national quantum strategy. But to see this, and to see what's happened to your company in the last year, and to be someone who has been proudly part to support this journey, it is a testament to you and to your team. And this investment is more than just an investment in a company. It's also an investment in this moment. And it reminds me of Jeremy Hansen was speaking to the Prime Minister. And he said, if we want to really, from space, and he said, Canada needs now to take some risks and be at the frontier. And Xanadu took a risk. Xanadu said, we can build a fault-tolerant quantum compute. It's a big thing, big innovation, big for national security. And we want to keep the jobs in Canada, and we want to keep the intellectual property in Canada, and we want to keep the 275 high-quality jobs that will fill this place right here in Canada, and we said we would do that, and that's why today of all days, and this week of all weeks, it is an honor to say that the government, and on behalf of my great colleague, James Maloney, Prime Minister, everyone, that Canada is investing $195 million through the Strategic Response Fund to support Project OPTIMISM. Congratulations. And I want people to know, the Canadians watching, that this project supports, our investment supports Xanadu's project, which is an $893 million project to expand research and development facility right here in Canada, in Etobicoke, where the most advanced manufacturing tools in the world will take place. And this will keep 275 of the highest quality jobs in the world right here in Canada. And the specialized infrastructure and the IP and to manufacture and commercialize quantum tech will be here in Canada. Et peut-être je dis en français, je suis très heureux, je suis très fier de confirmer que le gouvernement du Canada investit presque 200 millions de dollars par l'entreprise du Fonds de réponse stratégique afin de soutenir le projet OPTIMISM. And this is the largest investment in quantum manufacturing in Canadian history. But that's not the point. This is not just to see a 160,000 square foot new manufacturing facility like this, which is remarkable. It's not just the 275 jobs. It's a Canadian company and a proof that Canadians can do breakthrough research and produce at scale, and they can do things like photonic chip integration and advanced packaging and testing and quantum module assembly. These are technical terms, but the goal is not. It is to take great Canadian research and turn it into great production and great jobs. And just for folks that don't understand perhaps what quantum is, you know, if digital computing is like galloping on a horse, quantum computing is like riding a rocket. It's that much quicker. It is a step change, and it has significant implications in communication, but in cybersecurity. The countries that will build what's called a fault-tolerant quantum computer would have the capacity to break cybersecurity, so in cryptography. And this is why China, the United States, Europe, everyone's racing. And the best companies are right here in Canada. And the IP is in Canada. So from a sovereign national security point of view, this technology is absolutely critical that Canada make sure that we maintain our frontier capabilities in all those aspects. And those technical terms, chip integration, advanced photonics, and packaging, super important. So this is a really important element of our national quantum strategy that we've invested in to help establish the research and the talent. It's very important to our Canadian Quantum Champions program that we launched in December, stage 1, and we'll announce stage 2 soon. And we are backing, in that case, 4 Canadian headquartered companies to pursue different paths to the fault-tolerant quantum computer, and Project OPTIMISM is just an incredible step. So thank you, Christian. Thank you to the team at Xanadu. We have to show the world we can build at scale. We got to show the world that this is the place to be. You saw we attracted 48 new great scientists around the world. They're coming here. People are coming here. They want to be here because our word is our bond, because we're ambitious, because we're the best in the world at what we do, because we support each other and we invest in each other, because we take on hard problems, because we will turn them into great products. And buildings like this are the shell for what will be the most advanced technology, the best pure science, the best innovation, and some of the best products in the world. So this is, I feel like we're here kind of at the launch of Starship Enterprise here. This is great. And I just want to say to Christian and the team, félicitations, congratulations. This is a absolutely great day for Canada, for Xanadu, and I think for science around the world. And it shows what Canadians do best. We build. Merci.
Thank you, Minister. You see what I meant earlier. I mean, working with this man has been a genuine delight for what he brings to the table, but his passion, I will add that to it, and that came through loud and clear today. The largest Canadian investment in quantum manufacturing in Canada. I love the sound of that. The largest investment in quantum manufacturing in Canada comes to Etobicoke Lakeshore. I really, really love that. So Christian, thank you again for being here. Christian and I hadn't met before today. I will say thank you again for coming here, for preserving the nature of this great community, but I have to admit, I read your bio this morning and I was more than a little intimidated. This man has a PhD in physics. He's done postdoc work at MIT and University of Toronto. This room is going to be filled with people who are the brightest minds in the country, as Minister Solomon pointed out, but they're led by a great individual and an incredibly bright mind. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for choosing Etobicoke Lakeshore, and thank you for letting me be part of this. Welcome.
Thank you both. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. First, I'd like to thank Minister Solomon and MP Maloney for being here today. Really appreciate it. It gets me, hearing their speeches gets me even more excited about Canada and what we can all do together. And we are truly wanting to stay here. I'm originally from Australia and so happy to be here and being given this opportunity today. Thank you both for your support of Xanadu and also Project Optimism. The word optimism was chosen for a particular reason. We actually tried to reverse engineer it. It was Ontario, but then we lost track after that. But more importantly, the word optimism is, sometimes it feels like it's in short supply, but we want to be part of being optimistic. And 160,000 square foot facility like this is just one example of that. When we started Xanadu in Toronto 10 years ago, there was only a handful of us. Since then, we've built iterations of quantum computers, demonstrated quantum computational advantage with Borealis, built Penny Lane, a great song as well, into a leading quantum software platform, and grown into a team of over 300 people. And more recently, gone public. We've come a long way, but you also know what comes next, and that is today's announcement. If we're going to build useful quantum computers at the scale we know is possible, we also need to be able to manufacture them at a completely different scale. And so here we stand today in the site of the historic Campbell Soups factory. A building that once fed Canadians will now help the technology of the next generation. And we're calling this site Inception. This near 160,000 square foot site is expected to become one of the most advanced photonic manufacturing facilities anywhere in the world. Here in Toronto, we plan to build capabilities for photonic chip packaging, wafer testing and measurement, and the assembly of fault-tolerant quantum computers. I know that sounds very technical, because it is. But the important point is pretty simple. Project Optimism and Inception, where we are today, will allow us to do most of this work here in Canada, in Toronto. And I, among others, think this matters. Canada has always produced great science and great researchers, especially in quantum. The opportunity now is to turn that scientific leadership into companies, manufacturing capabilities, and industries here at home. We have a chance to do that with quantum computing. The $195 million investment being announced today by the government in Canada and Minister Solomon, who's been a great partner for us, today will help Xanadu make the next step in that journey. It'll help us build infrastructure, hire people to work with more Canadian universities and companies, and continue moving towards our ultimate goal of building a useful, large-scale quantum computer. And this obviously isn't happening in isolation. Countries around the world are investing heavily in quantum. There is global competition for talent, IP, manufacturing capability, and the companies that will define this industry. Canada has a genuine opportunity to lead, and I would argue are leading today. That's why today's announcement matters. And that's why I want to thank Prime Minister Carney, Minister Solomon, and Minister Joly. Quantum computing requires governments to take a long-term view, and this is what this is. All of you understand why making this investment now matters, and why having this capability in Canada matters. Minister Solomon is very unique in the politicians I've met historically, where he's thinking long-term, particularly in quantum computing. That's actually very, very hard to do. So this announcement is huge for us and also Canada. As mentioned, I'm originally from Australia. I don't think you can detect an accent. I wasn't born in Canada. I chose Canada. I chose to build Xanadu here, and I choose every day to stay here. Toronto gave us access to remarkable universities, research, and obviously talent. Half of our employees are actually from Canada, and also we recruit the best from outside of Canada. I want the next generation of scientists and engineers to see Canada as a place where they can stay or come to build something very important. We obviously still have a lot to do. This is a bare facility, and it's still impressive, but we have to now build it out. And we're proud that we're doing this here in Toronto. We're proud we're doing it here in Canada, and we're excited to get to work. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Inception. Thank you.
I love the name, Operation Optimism. That's like Canada's brand. and it's your brand, and that's why it works so well together. So thank you again. By the way, Geddy Lee used to live not far from here, Minister Solomon. I just forgot to mention that too. Okay, so we're going to open the floor for questions to the media.
Yeah, all of those things. So our vision, and if you have time, we have a virtual reality rendering, which is really fun. But basically, you can think of one half of this going all the way to the end being lab space. So things related to making photonic chips, packaging of them, wafer testing and measurement, integration of other chips, and so forth. The other half will be made up of folks, new employees that will be joining us.
So Canada's been investing in the quantum space for 40 years. And we've been on the frontier of both AI, when we were the first country to have a national AI strategy with our 3 AI institutes. And we've been invested through things like in University of Waterloo in quantum, because being at the frontier of science has been something that we've done really well. And we will continue to do this. And it is riskier to not be at the frontier. You've got to be at the frontier to build. And we are proud to make sure that 3 things happen here. The best scientists in the world, like Christian and his team, come to Canada because we've got the talent and it's a great place to live. It's a great place to start a company. 2, that when they innovate here, their IP, their intellectual property stays here in Canada. And when they succeed and as they invest, the jobs are here. And this is going to be 275 jobs in a facility that people didn't know what was going to happen here. You know, something changes. A Campbell Soup factory employed a lot of people. And then people are like, what comes next? And did anyone think that it would be people building a fault-tolerant quantum computer and it would be filled with 275 of the highest paying jobs in a renewed facility in this community? Because we invest and we see the long term. And so the jobs, and we feel very strongly about investing in Canadian talent, Canadian businesses, Canadian intellectual property. And we feel very, very strong and very confident that unless we are at the frontier with Canadian companies on quantum computing, we will be vulnerable in the future. And it is vital for this country, from a security point of view, from a science point of view, from an economic point of view, to make sure that the best companies in the world are here in Canada. And that's why we started the Canadian Quantum Champions program, to support the 4 great companies and many others. That's why we're investing in scientists in our CFAR chairs, 200. That's why we're investing in our tech companies through our AI for All strategy. And that's why we're happy to invest in companies like Xanadu, because they are here to stay, and we're very confident in that, the importance of investing in Canadians. And I will just say that thesis with recent events has been reaffirmed again and again. We are going to build together and bet on Canadian talent. And more than ever, Canadians understand that when the best people in the world are here, you back them.
Hi, Minister. I'll do one-on-one if that's okay. You used the word investment there and in your initial remarks. The Trump administration has given similar quantums of money to quantum computing companies in the US and taken stakes in return for that money. Companies like Rigetti and D-Wave, which have Canadian origins, and also IonQ and other companies. Why is that not the approach you're taking, given the sum of money that is going into Xanadu as part of this deal?
So, as you know, the Strategic Response Fund are repayable. So we have a different structure. And we've done that before with Xanadu, and we're very happy about that. This is a great company, and Canadians Canadian companies need this key investment, and we feel very comfortable with the structure of the financing here. But I will tell you, you're asking a really good question, and there's two parts. I just want people to know the United States has a program called the Quantum Benchmark Initiative, which is Xanadu's part of, and other companies are part of. And it is about building a fault-tolerant computer, quantum computer, and we have one called the Canadian Quantum Champions Program. The goal here around the world, people are looking at companies like Xanadu. They want them. Of course, these are the best minds in the world, and this building will hold the best minds in the world. So we are giving them the investment to make sure that they stay here, grow here, and invest here. We will, as a secondary measure, we do have a structure, as you know, in our AI for All strategy, for a technology fund that will have the option to take equity. And we absolutely are looking at different forms of investment to make sure that Canadians can benefit in multiple ways, not just with 275 jobs, not just with great IP, not just with national security issues, but also with ownership. And so that's an option that we also will do. In this case, we felt this was the best way to support and invest in Xanadu.
To pick up on another thing you were talking about, so this Campbell Soup factory has been gone about 8 years now. This is 275 jobs, they're well-paying jobs. When this facility shut, there were 380 jobs lost 8 years ago. So as you try to invest in the industries of the future that tend to employ fewer people for manufacturing than order school food manufacturing, is that the inevitable path of the Canadian economy? We move up, and the number of jobs that it takes to produce things as we move up into higher knowledge industries falls.
Yeah, in some ways, I think you're looking at the can of soup half full there. And let me flip it around. The jobs here, the 275 jobs here, are significantly different jobs than working at the Campbell Soup factory. These are, I mean, again, those are good jobs, and we want people to work in factories. The jobs that are here, the 275 jobs, they're people like Christian. They're software engineers, they're PhDs. This is a significantly different type of job. So I don't want to compare, apples to pizza here. We want good manufacturing jobs. We want to manufacture food. We have a food strategy to keep food manufacturing in Canada. We're investing in 100,000 trades because the trade jobs are good. So this isn't about creating just numbers on numbers. These are different kinds of jobs. These are 275 jobs that any country in the world would want because they're very rare. They're very high skilled. They're very unique, and they have a job multiplier and an economic multiplier effect that you see in valuations of companies in this space, as you know very well. The valuation is very different. So, but I just want to be clear, because the 275 high-tech jobs in quantum are a spectacular addition to our jobs. But we are going to protect jobs at federal economic development, whether you're a steel maker, whether you're a tool and die maker, whether you're a mold maker, whether you're in a food factory. These are good jobs, and we'll protect every job in this country, and that's what we're doing in this particular situation. But I will say that it is not an either or, it is an and. We need those factory jobs, and we need those quantum jobs, and they actually work together. But it is wonderful to be able to come back to this facility, and I can tell you, James Maloney will tell you, people are wondering who's going to inhabit 160,000 square feet, and then to find out that you're going to have 275 of the highest paid, most advanced jobs in the world. This is a can half full, not half empty.
I've got one for the minister and one for Christian. I guess Minister, can you speak a little bit to, maybe in the context of tariffs and increasing international trade tensions, just how important it is that Canada locate facilities like this here?
Well, first let me say it was important before this situation. Canadians have to appreciate that, when our government was elected to build this country, to double our electricity, to open up our natural resources, to build our critical infrastructure, to invest in our technology, we were going to build this country to knock down interprovincial trade barriers. This was happening already. We have an agenda to build. And the Prime Minister was the first person to recognize that the world was undergoing two things at the same time. And this is probably the best example of it. A geopolitical realignment where the world was realigning and the United States was changing its trading relationships at the same time as a technological revolution, AI and quantum. And the Prime Minister recognized that those two things are happening, and so we have to make sure Canada benefits from these two transformations. And so transformation on the build side to make sure that we have new trading partners, 20 new trading relationships, the highest foreign direct investment in 25 years, to keep our growth, new trading partnerships, at the same time investing in the frontier. The first AI minister, an AI for all renewed strategy that's investing over $2 billion in our small, medium-sized businesses on compute, that's launching, that's going to protect our privacy and our data, create opportunities like 90,000 jobs in technology and job placements for young people, create opportunities, invest in public compute, and then assert sovereign control, that trust opportunity control. And that's why we're investing in Xanadu. And now that we have a more urgent situation, I want to say that we were ready. This did not catch anyone. We preferred not to have it. We want to get back to a trading relationship, and we are confident, eventually establish a better trading relationship when, in good faith, if the U.S. wants to come to the table, we will too, because we want that situation to resolve. But we were ready for this. We've got the fiscal firepower. We've got the AAA credit rating, which is only one of two countries in the G20. We've got the second fastest growing GDP in the G7. We're ready. We have the fiscal firepower. We can do this, and we need to do it more urgently, and that's why today is a perfect example of building now, building Canadian, building in an innovative way that reflects our values.
Thank you. I've got one for Christian, if that's okay.
Sure.
Christian, Minister Solomon mentioned that this is part of a broader $893 million project. Obviously, you folks are hoping to raise another up to $195 million from the Ontario government. Can you speak to where you plan to source the remainder and how far this commitment will get you if the Ontario government doesn't come to the table?
Yeah, so far we've had great success working with Minister Solomon and his team. As you can see today, $195 million being announced. As you mentioned, the other half, up to $195 million, is still being discussed, kind of final negotiations and discussions there. So really excited to hopefully bring some news there. And Invest Ontario has been a great partner for us as well. Getting back to your point about the capital, one of the great things and one of the reasons why we went public is the ability to access, through a variety of different means, public capital. And so we managed to do that with a very successful go public strategy in raising, I think, $302 million. So when and where we need more capital, we have the ability to do a variety of different financial means through being a public company. Problem.
So, one of the things I think every Canadian knows in the last year and a half is we try not to comment on every bit of social media and every comment. I think the Prime Minister was pretty clear that, You know, for Canadians, this is Lake Ontario and will always be Lake Ontario and has always been Lake Ontario. But this is really not about those kind of things. This is about something larger, and this is about sovereignty. And this is about making sure that Canadian jobs are protected, Canadian workers are protected, and this is about making sure that in this situation, we can give ourselves more than any country can take away. And that's why you saw an investment in the largest hydroelectric project between Newfoundland, Labrador, and Quebec. That's why you saw our investment in icebreakers. That's why you see our investment today in quantum computing. On every sector, we are going to build this country. We're going to make sure our businesses and our workers and our communities are protected. And there's going to be a lot of colorful commentary because people are angry and people are proud of this country. They're proud of what we do. They're proud of people like Christian and Xanadu. They're proud of the work. You know, in FedDev, I'm with mold makers and tool and die makers and car parts manufacturers, and I was on the phone with the Chamber of Commerce in Ontario and London and Hamilton and Windsor, and I could tell you something. People are proud, and they want to stand up. They're going to get a good deal, and we are going to make sure that we're going to defend our country, and, you know, no matter how long it takes, and we're going to do it pragmatically, and we're going to do it smartly, and, you know, this thing will come to an end, and like a good Canadian who's played a lot of hockey, whatever happens on the ice, you know, eventually the whistle will go and we'll line up and shake hands and we'll get back to business. But in the meantime, we're going to do what we are doing. And we're going to build here in Canada. We're going to build confidently. I will tell you, we're going to be honest, it's not going to be an easy path, but it is the right path to get the right deal for the country. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, everybody. That ends this portion of the event. We'll do some photographs now. Thank you.
Thanks.